Alright, here we are. So we are in Unity. We're going to create our solar system here in a few different steps. I'm going to walk you through this, and I'm going to try to do this in 10 minutes. So let's get started. Okay, so we're going to insert a new object here. And one of the things we'll do is, well, we deal with planets. So we'll just put in a sphere. And we're going to start with the Earth. So Earth, we're going to place it. So the camera is at -10, and so Earth should be, we're going to place it at 0. So we can see it from the camera. It's a little far away, but we're going to make it bigger in a second. So, and we're going to have it floating in front of the user. So the average user height is 1.6. So we're going to put it maybe at 1.2 or something like this. Okay, and I could have done that also here a little bit more fine-tuning, etc. But I just like even values for now. I just undid it for a second. I'm going to insert a another sphere, which is going to be the moon. Now the moon is interesting. We're going to actually put the moon roughly where the Earth is. So. Where did I put the Earth? I put it at 0. Okay, that's fine. So far away from the user. And I'm going to have the game view here on the side. I'm just going to say free aspect full HD. So I'm going to get a bit of a preview of what the user sees without me always clicking the camera. It's almost the same view as down there. And so let's look at the moon. The moon is about a quarter of the size of Earth. So it's actually pretty tiny. And we're going to like fly over there, and we're going to bring it closer using Z. We're going to bring it closer to Earth and just have it a little bit higher. And it's going to be rotating around it. And I want to see that initially. From the camera view, I want to see that roughly that it's there. We can also like take these guys and bring them both closer. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually nest it with the Earth, because the moon goes around the Earth. So now if I feel like I want to bring those two a little bit closer to the camera, I can just like grab them like that and move them closer to the camera. And that's also in fact what we want to see first. And then in the distance, we're going to put the sun. So we're going to create a third object. We're just using primitives here. This is going to be the sun. And the sun, well, we're going to place it roughly along that same kind of line, and we want to be able to see it. And the sun is actually really interesting. The sun is 109 times bigger than Earth. So how big do I want to do it? So Earth is now at 1. And so we're going to really do 110, 109 times. So that's really, really big. But it is also, interestingly, it is also 92 million miles away. So we're going to put it roughly at the same kind of like, it's really, really far away. And it's going to be pretty big. We're actually inside it. We don't even realize that we are inside it. So we're actually going to put it 91 million miles away. That's going to be pretty difficult. So we have to figure out how we're going to do it. So the distance between Earth and the moon is only 200 something thousand miles, and the distance between the distance to the sun is gonna be larger. Now I'm not really happy with how the composition looks. Initially everything looks like everything is like on a line or something. We're gonna move things a little bit out, and yeah. And we can also, obviously, how would an eclipse work in our scenario? Anyway, we have these guys here. I just have primitives. I'm playing around with laying out the scene. I have obviously some of the challenges of getting the distances and the sizes right. But that's a little tricky to get it really correct. And so we're just like we did for A-frame, we're just going to simplify those distances a little bit. So now we have our primitives in here. and we're like 5 minutes in. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna create materials. Recommended structure in Unity is to have a materials folder, and so we're gonna create one, and we're gonna create our first material. So we're gonna create here, click material, and well, I'm gonna create a material for the sun, and I'm gonna call it orange. Okay, that's my plan, and then I'm gonna pick a nice orange here. So maybe something around. We get a preview of what it's gonna be like, and I would like something. Well, I called it orange, so it should be orangey. Maybe something like this. Okay, we're not gonna spend too much time fine tuning. I'm just gonna grab it and drag it onto the sun. Again, this was the sun. I can see that also being selected here. I can double click to zoom out. Let's focus on the Earth. For Earth, we're gonna repeat the same thing. We're just gonna create a material that we're gonna call water and grass. So it's mostly water, right? We're just gonna call it greenish. So it's our material. We do want to see a little bit of green, and we cannot, I would need to use an image or a texture, which I'm going to do in a second, but like right now I'm just going to pick something like that looks a little bit earthy-ish. It's a bit too green. I'm going to go more into this realm here. And okay, anyway, I could spend forever picking. I want something that looks greener. For some reason I feel like I want a little bit greener. Okay, I also want to show these differences a little bit better. So this is Earth, and now we have the moon. And the moon is just gonna get some kind of grayish material, so we're gonna call it gray. I like my greenish name, and we're gonna call it gray. And we're gonna just go a little bit here on the spectrum, something like that. Looks like interesting. We're gonna drag it onto that. Now we're gonna zoom out a little bit, and so this is what we have created.